What's up, dudes? I love finding items. I literally love the Barbarian skill, find item. You know, good old Horking, popping bodies. But I've never been able to put together a War Cry Barbarian that felt smooth. Until now. I'll give you the budget early ladder farming setup, as well as the endgame setup, and how to set up your mercenary. This build obviously starts out farming Travincal, which is the ideal place to find runes, good place to find items, but this one's not limited to just Travincal anymore. In fact, with the budget setup, you could just go jump into the pits as well, but once you get into the end game, you ever see a barbarian clear like this? Yeah, you're going to be horking bodies too. Now, I just want to clarify, this is not a boss killer. War Cry has never been a boss killer. You can kill bosses. That's not what you're here for. You're here to go kill packs of monsters and just pop their bodies. You can't hork a boss, so kind of wasted. Yeah, what is War Cry? It is a Nova that you cast from your Barbarian that does physical damage. It's a smaller ring, it's not really big, but it does get groups pretty well, and it stuns them. That's the most important part. The only thing is, War Cry is blockable. Kind of a pain point. It's kind of been a pain point ever since the beginning of the skill. When they're hit, they're stunned for a pretty good period of time. Creates ultimate safety. Ultimate safety. It just doesn't do very much damage, but it is very consistent. Works almost in any zone. Even if the enemy is immune to physical, they'll still be stunned. So yeah, this build is about deleting packs and trying to double your loot. But this one's going to solve the kill speed. So let's go ahead and go over the skills, because it's going to be the same for both skill trees for the most part. You're basically just going to go down to War Cry, and you're going to max War Cry and its synergies. There is a caveat to that. If you want to save a little bit of mana, you might shave off a few points from War Cry. Also, you're probably going to use Taunt as your last skill to max, because it does require a lot of skill points since we're adding points to find item and find potion. So what you're going to do is I would just go ahead and max War Cry, max Battle Cry and Howl, max Find Potion. You're going to max Taunt last, so save that as your last synergy to max. Then you're going to go 1 point to find item. All of your plus to skills are going to raise that really high, but Find Potion is actually going to be a better place to put your points. It gets 1% to find item per point in Find Potion. With all of your plus to skills, it'll take 4 to 5 levels for Find Item to go up 1 percentage point. Whereas each point into Find Potion will increase it 1%. So it's easier to get it up into the high 60s or early 70% of finding an item just by maxing Find Potion and letting your plus to skills do the rest. We're so starved on skill points anyway. We're going to go 1 to battle orders, 1 to shout, and 1 to battle command. I know it's only 1, but trust me, War Cry is a very safe skill. You're going to stomp onto people with teleport, and then you're just going to start stunning them. The rest of your points, 1 point into natural resistance as usual, iron skin, stamina, and increased speed. Just 1 of those. You like them. When you join a new game, it's nice to run fast through town because you can't teleport into town. I've primarily done Travincal farming. Most of my item find career has been with a Berserk Barbarian. And I've attempted the Singer, the War Cry Barbarian, multiple times, but it's not until the Reign of the Warlock that it's finally felt good. Now, stats, pretty much the same thing as always. You're going to use enough strength for your gear. There's no benefit in putting any extra strength. We're not doing melee physical damage, so it's not going to help us. Dexterity, we're not using a shield, so we don't need to block, so just enough for your gear. Pretty much the consensus is just vitality for everything for the rest. the build is incredibly mana hungry. Some people do like to put a few points into energy. In fact, I put, I think, around 50 to 75 points in energy on my budget version because I knew I was going to respec later anyway, just to help with the mana. But the thing is, just an increased mana pool is not going to help you. You're going to drain that so fast. It's about the recovery. And you can't really wield an Insight on your Mercenary if you're farming Travincal mostly. Those Hydras are going to absolutely wipe out your Act 2 Mercenary when you're on a budget, because it's going to take a little bit longer to kill. So I always increase my maximum resistances on my Mercenary, and we'll get to that later. Let's talk about gear. We'll go ahead and start with just the budget setup first. It's funny, you've probably heard me say don't use spirit swords. Well, you are going to use spirit swords. The thing is, you're going to use spirit swords through the campaign. There's a big difference when you're running around killing a couple things, packs here and there, than running into Act 3 Travincal and just spamming War Cry. There's a huge difference. I mean a huge difference. When you're casting War Cry about 3 times per second, and each cast is around 40 mana, that's 120 mana per second. So it's very hard to recover. I solved this with the gear. So, spirit swords for the campaign, but your main weapon, no joke, especially on the budget, is Insight. Yeah, you're going to self-wield an Insight, and what's cool is it's kind of made for it, to be honest with you. You get the huge mana recovery, but it also has faster cast rate built into it. That's pretty awesome. And I saw one of my commenters had to come in with the swag and give me a big brother tip here. Shouldn't be using it in like some sort of scythe or an axe. I went ahead and made it into a staff because the drip is important, okay? It's all about style. Thank you for letting me know. I'm all about style. Go check out my Static Storm Sorceress and tell me she's not dripping with style. Yeah, so the staff looks way better. Check it out. I made the staff. Thank you, friend. But yeah, we're going to self-wield Insight. Gangster move. It looks cool, by the way. I mean, you're a barbarian wielding a staff. Messing stuff up, dude. Finding items. I also believe it's the best for endgame. But anyways, on your Switch, you want to teleport staff. You could farm these as early as Act 3, normal, from Ormus. But your ideal staff is actually going to be Nadja's Puzzler. You know, that green staff drop that you always throw away? Keep it. That's going to be your other weapon switch, your main weapon switch, until you get Enigma. Basically, you just run right in with Nadja's staff. It's got faster cast rate on it as well. Get them stunned, switch over to Insight, and then just finish them off. Now let's talk about the rest of the gear. The priority on your gear at this budget version is to reach 75% faster cast rate without your weapon. So just on the gear pieces and rings and stuff. And I'm going to recommend here, you don't need to achieve perfection at all on the budget version. You just need to reach this breakpoint. And I'm telling you, I've always been stuck into going into plus skills and all this stuff to get my War Cry damage. You're not doing the damage. I mean, you are, but it's not because of you. So get that 75 faster cast rate from your gear minus your weapons. This way you reach 105 even on a budget. Now, I recommend even just using a plain 20 faster cast rate circlet, even if it doesn't have skills, just for this breakpoint. I promise. Other than that, you can go with a stealth. That's what I used, Tal Eth. Very cheap rune word that you can make in Act 2. I mean, you could probably even make it in Act 1 normal if you farm the Countess that far, but normally by Act 2, Act 3, you've got a stealth. It's going to give you 25 faster cast rate on the armor. I found a K. Hagen's Wisdom Hagen. I have always called it K Hagen. I just realized. What do you guys? Let me know what you call it down there. K Hagen's Wisdom. I found this. 1 to skills, 20 cast rate. Pretty sweet. If you find a Viper Magi, just slot that on. Super sweet. You're just looking for the faster cast rate. Like I said, you can get a circlet. If you don't need it from this piece, like if you found gloves or something, then you could use a lore or a peasant crown or something like that. For the belt, I crafted just a faster cast rate belt. Any craft that you make is going to already guarantee a 5% faster cast rate. So literally the first one that I tried, I just have been using. If you don't need it there, I recommend a string of ears or even a gold wrap, but a string of ears is nice just for that extra magic damage reduce and some physical damage reduction. Again, I prioritize Travincal. That's kind of my main place, but you can definitely go into Chaos Sanctuary and other places as well, as you can see in the footage. From here, boots. We want faster run walk boots, really. If you can get anything else on there with some resistances, some magic fun, that's great. It's mostly just running from the spawn in Act 3 all the way to the waypoint. So, gloves. If you can get some faster cast rate gloves, some mage fists, some Trangul gloves, that would be great. Any faster cast rate rings and a faster cast rate amulet. Now with this, hopefully in combination of this gear, you've reached your 75 faster cast rate. Without your weapons, this means that when you have a Naj's Puzzler staff giving you 30% faster cast rate, 30 plus 75 gives you 105. So when you're teleporting, you have 105. If you happen to be casting War Cry, which you will sometimes on this set, you'll also be at 105. And then when you switch over to Insight, since it already has 35 faster cast rate, you'll be over 105 at 110. That's your main side for War Cry. So even at a budget, you'll be hitting 105 faster cast rate. Just kind of helps with the kill speed. It kind of helps with the stun application. You want stun up as fast as possible. Now for your charms, you're just going to be filling in the gaps, really. I mean, I like to have enough space to pick up items. If you're the type that just tosses it in the cube, or you're really strict about the items you pick up, whatever. Just fill in the gaps. You want mana, resistances, just whatever you need in there. Down the road, you obviously want War Cry Grand Charms. Every point to War Cries, which is really cool, every single point to War Cries is obviously giving you battle orders and shout. But it's also giving you potentially an increase to find item. And it's also giving you damage from War Cry. Really sweet skiller for this build. It helps on every single level. Defensive, magic finding, and damage. Do you know of any other skiller charms that can impact a character on those 3 different fronts? Yeah, let me know. So, let's talk about the Mercenary now. The Mercenary is what has brought this build from something that's just kind of frustratingly consistent to fun and consistent, and has doubled the kill speed. And that's because of the Dreadfang sword that the Reign of the Warlock content has brought to us. This is a 2-handed sword, and it's not that crazy. It doesn't do that much damage. But what it does do is it applies amplify damage at 33% chance on striking or on attack. I'll have to double check that mod. But it applies a lot. That helps so much for War Cry. As you know, it does physical damage, and this doubles that damage. There's nothing else that's going to give you a damage increase even close to this. The only problem is if you're focusing on Travincal like I do, or like you're going to be doing at the beginning of your ladder season or your new character farming, you're going to need to keep him alive, and those Hydras suck. So, first of all, your Dreadfang, I recommend socketing an Am rune. That's for 7% life leech. Trust me, it actually does work really well, even though the physical damage from the sword's not that great. He's leeching. Once he casts amp damage, it's leeching better. If you can get an ethereal, that would be great too. It helps he doesn't lose durability on a mercenary. So yeah, this is the best in slot for both versions, for the endgame version and for the budget version of this build. Honestly, when you have a Dreadfang, it basically enables this. It'll enable you walking into Travincal and killing before they can kill you, or before you run out of potions. So I highly recommend it. I actually didn't even attempt it until I found the Dreadfang. It was one of my first drops, though, with my Paladin this ladder, so great. Moving on, for the gear for your Mercenary, to keep him alive in Travincal, I highly recommend using a Guardian Angel. This item is a pretty common find. It increases your maximum resistances to all by 15%, so it brings it from that 75 cap to 90. So instead of 25% of the damage coming through, most of that's getting cut away and only 10% of damage is coming through to Mercenary. That's a lot. That's a lot of reduction. He's still going to die from the Hydras. That's why you need the life leech. But on top of that, what helped my budget War Cry Barbarian was I used a Rock Stopper. I feel like this is the best helmet. I messed around with a Bulwark, which is also a great option, and a Temper, which I think is a little bit better than Bulwark, just because of the little bit of fire absorbed. So that 10% that's actually coming through is still getting absorbed a little bit. Then he leeches out the rest. So I like that one for my setup on a budget. You could also use a helmet with some Ral runes in it for some fire resistance, just to get, it's just the fire resist. That's all you really need. When they're lightning enchanted, that's sketchy too, but you could leap attack and teleport with your Naj staff to just reposition if you need to. You could also tell when maybe you're not stunning and just give a slight reposition, and then you'll see them stunned. So there's a trick too. Like, stun the group, then move on to the next one so they can't be casting while you're killing this one. So that's the budget Mercenary setup. Again, it's cool because you can do pits right away. Actually, I started doing pits before I even got to Act 3. Then I just decided to quest myself up to Act 3, and that's where my budget guy's been since. I found a low rune on my 75th run, found a Shaco in there, and yeah, you're going to find items. It's just about putting in the time, and this guy is Mr. Consistency. Now, let's talk about the endgame setup, because an item find Barbarian does not need to be tied to only Travincal anymore. The Dreadfang unique has really opened up some options. So, have fun farming the Chaos Sanctuary now. It's awesome. Let's talk about this endgame setup. So again, you're going to use Insight for your main weapon, but that's not to say that you're not going to use Heart of the Oak or dual crystal swords. You just don't need to kill with them. Now, like I said, an extra 200-300 damage on the sheet isn't going to do that much when it's the amplify damage from your Mercenary that's really giving you the killing power. What I really, really like is just to not worry as much about the mana, just to every now and then hit a mana potion instead of constantly monitoring it. So using an Insight, just, dude, I'm not having a problem with the kill speed. I still swap over to Hodos to Hork my bodies. So they're still there. It's just literally killing and keeping the mana up. When you're in Chaos Sanctuary, you're going to want to target those Wraiths to get them stunned before they start casting at you, because they will drain your mana. But it's kind of a fun game. Anyways, let's get on to the setup. So again, you're going to be using Insight on yourself, and your Mercenary is going to be using Dreadfang. But what other things are changing? Well, you can put those double crystals or double spirit swords or double Hodos on your swap now. So that'll be your BO and your item find weapon set. You're now going to be using Enigma. You want Enigma, especially if you're going to want to go do those chaos runs efficiently. I mean, you don't have to, but it helps. It's so much quality of life. Now for a helmet, this is kind of cool. I prefer not to use a rune word because I eventually want to socket in the new Protector Stone jewel in your helmet. It is a gigantic damage increase. Well, it's a gigantic damage increase considering there's nothing else that you can get that's going to increase your War Cry damage. This does. In fact, the Protector's Stone on a perfect roll and the renewed Bone Break Sunder Charm is basically like a half Decrepify constantly. But speaking of damage, I mean, you're getting like 20% physical damage increase by way of reducing the enemy's physical damage resistance. That's pretty sweet. Anyways, those are your chase items. So that's why I like using a helmet that's not a rune word there. I mean, you could use Coven for a while. That's what I have on ladder. But the ideal is probably a 3 to War Cries plus 3 to War Cry helmet. So a plus 6 to War Cry helmet with Find Item. You know, because those just drop out of the sky. But yeah, you could find like some cool rares. I found a plus 4 to War Cry, plus 4 to Find Item. I think it's a green one that I still need to transfer over from the old expansion. But the one I have now is, I think, plus 1 to War Cries, plus 3 to War Cry. It's still 4 to War Cries. But like I said, the plus to skills really don't matter. So it's just whatever you find that's cool. You could suck at this bad boy and put it in there. You could even use a circlet, freeing up more faster cast rate or whatever other shenanigans you want to do. Maybe you want to use Stones of Jordans for just a little extra mana. The skills are going to kind of even out anyway. But yeah, that's just my thought. Keep that socket available in the helmet so you could eventually put a Protector's Stone in there. That's what I would do. You could use a Shaco. You could use a Crown of Ages if you just really want to flex and be super tanky, even though you're already stunning everything. But my recommendation is find a cool rare 5 to War Cries or a blue 6 to War Cries if you could get it and really have the money. But the ultimate goal is to keep the socket so you can put that Protector's Stone. Now, let's talk about the belt. Here, I like running the Arachnid Mesh. Just 1 to skills. Again, it's helping your Find Item. It's helping your War Cry damage slightly and faster cast rate. Again, if you don't need the faster cast rate, you can toss on a Gold Wrap. You can toss on a Thunder Gods if you want to absorb some lightning damage. If you want some damage reduce, you could use... I really like String of Ears. I've been kind of obsessed with it lately. It's got physical damage reduction percentage, but it's also got magic damage reduced. Those two together are great. Let's talk about some boots. I mean, it's kind of funny. I don't really care for the resistances as much as I do on other characters just because you're stunning most everything. So you could go with some resistance boots and Magic Find if you want. You could wear some War Travelers or just Magic Find. You could use Alders, just fire resist. I mean, really anything. I kind of just like the Magic Find. So it's up to you. Charms, War Cry Skillers. Now you're going to want to watch where you're at. If you're hitting around that 72%, 73%, you're in the range of around only plus 5 skills is going to get you another 1%. So just be mindful of where you're at there. Only use enough War Cry Skillers to get you up to that next item find percentage. It could be around 5 skill charms. Whatever. It will help your damage, so it's not just like not going to do anything. It does help. Every single one is going to help your damage and life. So but my thought is to only increase if it's increasing your item find percentage, if that makes sense. Gloves, you're going to want just faster cast rate, so Mage Fist, Trangules. I'm not sure if I already talked about gloves. I think I did. But yeah, or if you just need Magic Find and don't need faster cast rate, then you could use Chance Guards. Those are great. Rings, faster cast rate rings to hit the breakpoints that you need. Obviously, resistances are nice. I like to go with some mana just to be quality of life. Because again, you're just going to be teleporting everywhere and casting War Cry, and the less you have to worry about, do I have enough mana potions, the better. Mercenary, Dreadfang. If you can get an Ethereal one, that would be nice. You don't need an Ethereal one, but just put an Omrune in there. An Amrune, whatever. Life Leech, you need it. Guardian Angel, I really like that for Travincal. If you're not doing Travincal, you probably don't need Guardian Angel. So if you're just doing Chaos Sanctuary, you could probably use something that has attack speed. Maybe a Hustle, because you want to think him running around also means he runs to an enemy to attack faster. But you could use a Treachery, Fade, attack speed on there. great. I like Rock Stopper and Temper. Bulwark is also really good. You could even use a G-Face. Just all up to you. Just where you're farming mostly. If you're outside of Travincal, these options open up a little bit more for you. So, yeah. Anyways, it's kind of nice to take a War Cry Barbarian nowadays and not be just limited to the pits or Travincal, or you have to use Berserk to be able to go into Chaos Sanctuary and howl everybody away. You actually don't have to howl everybody away anymore. You could stomp on them, your mercenary is going to cast Amplify damage, and you could clear the whole pack. That's crazy. Love it. More items. More. 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 You know what I mean? Sorry, sometimes I get excited. Anyways, how do you play your build? Cast your battle orders, cast your war cries, go teleport on people, find the big chunky minion groups, war cry them. Your mercenary's probably going to be casting amp damage, and they'll die. And then switch over to your more plus to skills. More items. Hork. And then you're good. And then you'll find all the items, and then everyone's going to be like, "You're the best. I love you. Oh my god." Yeah. Anyways, but one caveat to here is this is not a boss killer. I just really want to anchor that down. But when you're using item find, you kind of don't want to fight bosses. Yeah, I've done over 7,000 Travincal runs with just my Berserk Barbarian, and I loved him. I've found every rune in the game, except for a Zod rune, because they can't be dropped in Travincal unless it's terrorized. I'm so excited to take this version now and expand that from Travincal into Chaos Sanctuary, into other areas, maybe terrorized spots. Just things that I haven't really been thinking about because I've been kind of pigeonholed into Travincal. So I'm super excited. I hope this opens up stuff for you guys as well and more farming routes. I mean, how fun is this? So again, the build's extremely safe. It's extremely fun. It's very, very consistent. Great clear speed now. Who would have thought? You can't find items faster in the game than with this Barbarian, and arguably this is the best way to find high runes. I've got the data to show it. But this also works on a budget, and it also works really well in the end game, and that's something that I really like, and it's really good for solo self-found. This is one of my favorite builds in the entire game, so if you love find item, this is probably going to be the build that you play all ladder long. I'm going to be streaming this build. Just drop by and come hang out. You could ask questions. I love answering questions. I love talking about stuff and sharing ideas and just getting the juices going. Sounded weird. But yeah, drop your questions below. I like to respond to everyone that I can. If you got them, send them my way. I'll see what I can do. And more War Cry content's coming soon. Hope you guys stay a while and listen. If you like this kind of content, give me a like, give me a subscribe if you want to see some more. Bell for when I go live so you know when I'm streaming and you can come hang out and chat. I like sharing ideas. Till next time. Love you guys. Peace.